So, darling,
Yes, dear.
in my head, I made promises to a certain amount of children to be their mother, in the pre-life, and I want to fulfill all those promises.
I want to have a life with you that's not just all about our kids. What do you think about that, though? Do you feel like hallelujah?
I feel relieved and sad at the same time.
She's mixed on this.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, February 20th. Well, I can't upload the video I want to upload because YouTube is being strange. I had this conversation with someone and it cleared up so much confusion that I have been having with sister wives and these weird things that Kody does, because they never talk about their church or the rules of the church. And so they make all these weird choices and you're like, why does Kody care about dogs? Why is Janelle being forced to pick between Kody and the dogs, right? Why does Christine not let the dogs in her house? What about these weird spirit babies that Robyn thinks are missing? You know, the brown-haired boy that she brought up a couple seasons ago, and she was like, I'm pretty sure I have a brown-haired boy, a premonition, and that spirit baby needs to come down and I don't want to leave my baby. Do you remember that?
I don't know what it was, but I had someone hanging around. Just a little dark-haired boy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Robyn believes that she has spoken to her babies in premortal existence. That's because the AUB teaches their followers that all babies are up in a heaven and they're up there with God and they're in a premortal world. And in their premortal world, they go to school and they have parents and they're in their premortal form. And every woman in the AUB's job is to make sure that she brings down every single spirit baby to prevent a spirit baby from ending up with a wicked family. And by wicked family, you know what I mean. People that don't look like Robyn. Okay, so Robyn Brown has been dangling the spirit baby to Kody. Kody has this weird thing about dogs. And then I had this conversation that made me go, because all of these stupid rules are from their cult. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Let's dive into this topic. Before we do, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click on the bell so you never miss a video. Every single time a new person becomes the prophet, the one mighty and strong in the Apostolic United Brethren, the prophet brings on and decides to bring in new stupid rules. And whatever the rules are revelations that they have that they say are about God or how to be more godly or to have the best fullness of the gospel. All right? Well, when Lemoyne Jensen passed, he was the dude that actually was in charge when when Sister Wives went public. Lemoyne Jensen actually told Kody, I guess, in front of like everyone, that he had a revelation that if he went on to Sister Wives, he would destroy his family. Like, he told him that he had a revelation from God that if he went on to Sister Wives, his whole entire family would end up destroyed. I mean, Lemoyne wasn't wrong, but really Lemoyne didn't want Kody to expose the trash and the corruption that was going down in the AUB. Namely, that there was all kinds of money laundering happening that Lemoyne might have been a part of. And once Lemoyne took his final breath and the new prophet came into play, this dude's name was Lynn Thompson. Now, Lynn was not without any controversy. No, his daughter Rosemary wrote a blog and talked all about what Lynn did to her when she was a child. And then all these other people came forward and said what Lynn did to them as a child. Well, Lynn decided that he had a revelation and that he was absolving himself of all of those things that he did to little girls, and he was repentant and God forgave him. And so everyone in the church basically had to forgive Lynn and say, it's okay, Lynn. God said it was fine. God's okay with it. No, it didn't work out that way. A lot of people actually left the church. And in fact, a whole split happened in Pinesdale, Montana, where Robyn is from and where some of her family still lives. But anyways, when Lynn decided that he was going to take over the group, he made some really weird decisions. What were those decisions? Well, according to a member that's up in Pinesdale, who I talked to, they revealed that when Lynn Thompson decided to take over the AUB, he told everyone that dogs were not allowed in the house when they pray, and dogs were not allowed in sacred spaces because dogs interfere between a man and the Holy Spirit. And you can't hear God if dogs are in the room. Apparently dogs have like superpowers where they are like God deflectors. So everyone thought it was so weird. Like, why does Kody like tell her that the dogs can't sleep inside? Well, Kody was just following the rules because they don't like dogs in the AUB. Yeah, that's right. So Kody didn't want her to sleep with dogs because why? Because you can't have a dog in a sacred space because that interferes with the sacredness of the bedroom and it interferes with your ability to communicate with God. Who knew that dogs had the superpower to get in the way of God? And because Kody's the priest of the family and he needs to have a direct line to God because God speaks through him and gives him all of the revelations to give to the family. Like, we're going to move to Coyote Pass because Robyn wants to move to Flagstaff, or we're going to do one house. Oh, wait, no, we're not going to do one house. God makes all these decisions for him. So that's why he didn't want to sleep in bed with a dog, because the dog stops him from his amazing decisions, like squandering all the money on ugly jewelry. Now, that's why Kody doesn't want dogs in the bedroom, okay? I didn't believe it at first, but when I explained to this person, I said, Kody has this really weird rule about dogs. And they were like, yeah, that's because of Lynn Thompson. I'm just saying. Now, on top of that, there was another strange rule. Lynn Thompson also decided that no one in the group could have any relations, intimate ones, with their spouses if they weren't doing it for procreation. That meant any wife that was out to pasture, meaning she was past the point of being able to conceive, those wives were no longer allowed to have any level of intimacy with their husbands. And the husbands were not allowed to have intimacy with any wife that was not able to have kids. So take a walk with me. Just come along on this journey. When we met the sister wives, Lemoyne Jensen was in charge. Under Lemoyne's care, they were able to apparently do it without worrying about it was just for procreation. When Lynn takes over, which I think is like 2014 or so, he decides, you guys need to stop doing it so much, and all the old ladies need to chill out. And so if your lady can't make you a baby, she's worthless. And my contact said they literally heard leaders in the church tell them that women that are post-menopause are like old cows and that you put out to pasture and you just get rid of. And those old cows that are out in the pasture need to just be satisfied with a guy that might come over once in a while and pat them on the head and say, hey, honey, I'm home. So this idea that Kody was getting it on with anyone other than Robyn is false, because under these rules, Kody would have had to cut off all intimacy with any single wife that wasn't bearing children. When we first met Christine, she said she was done. She was not going to have any more kids. Okay? She put herself out to pasture. Janelle said, I'm done. She put herself out to pasture. And Mary was obviously done. And so the only person left that could still have contact with Kody was Robyn. And when Robyn started getting into her 40s, she was clearly done having kids, by the way. She was not going to have any more children. But she had to string him along with this carrot of, I want to have a spirit baby. I want you to bring down the spirit baby. Because as long as Robyn can make Kody believe that he has the chance of having the baby with her, they can still do it. Now, I don't know where Kody and Robyn stand today when it comes to their doing it, and I don't know where they stand today and whether or not they're not like on board with the AUB, but Kody refuses to denounce the AUB, and my contact says that there's absolutely no way that Kody is fully out because he still associates with everyone. And they said Kody's kind of the guy that's like on the peripheral, where he's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like he's in enough for when it serves him, and he's out when he doesn't want to deal with the rules. So Kody has now developed this new rule that polygamy is biology, and it's just in your biological genes, which means there's no rules about procreation anymore. Funny enough, he only has 1 wife now. So why was Kody so mad about the wives leaving? Well, my source says because all the other guys were doing this to their wives and the wives weren't leaving. They were literally putting their wives out to pasture. They were ignoring them. They made their wives understand, like, we cannot have this relationship anymore because your only job is to be a baby maker for me. And you just need to accept that, right? Well, most of the wives that are in this world don't leave because they don't have the resources, they don't have the money, they don't have anything to do anything. But the sister wives had access to the real world, and they became a little bit worldly, and they learned about leaving the cult. And they also learned that women have an opportunity to have equity in relationships, and they don't have to accept scraps. So Kody was playing this game on the show where he was pretending like he was being intimate with everyone when he wasn't, because the rules said he couldn't be. The wives fully knew that they were not in relationships with him anymore because they weren't going to have any kids with him anymore. But would it have made you watch the show if you knew that he put these women out to pasture because they were done making babies with him? Does it explain to you now why all of their relationships seemed so chilled out and cold? It's because he had no relationships with them. He only had a relationship with Robyn because she was the only one that was going to bring him babies. So here's the thing. On the show, Robyn is always dangling this carrot, right? There's a few things she does. And this comes from a source that actually knows Robyn and knows how Robyn operates. According to my source, Robyn plays a lot of games. And every game and every move she makes isn't about caring about someone or about empathy. It's about what she can get from that person or what it's going to do for her, okay? Robyn is very competitive, and she wanted to be number 1. She did not want to lose the spot of being the wife that was the favorite and the one that was able to have intimacy with him, because the one that's having intimacy with him gets all of the attention, the affection. She doesn't have to share resources. By the time Robyn comes in, they're all... Well, Robyn gets to the point where she doesn't want to have babies anymore, but she can't let Kody know that. So instead, she has to develop these stupid ideas. Like, she's going to tell him every so often that she's feeling like she needs to have a baby, even though she doesn't want to have a baby. She's going to potentially make him believe that they're going to try to get pregnant so that they can be intimate. She's going to make him believe that she's had premonitions. All of these things will keep Kody occupied with her and unable to even consider the possibility of bringing in someone new to bring in the baby. Another thing that Robyn is doing to manipulate Kody so that he won't go out and look for someone else is infantilizing her daughter, Ariella. Now, this is something that a lot of people have talked about, but this was flat out confirmed to me by the source. Basically, what can happen in this culture is when a woman becomes desperate and doesn't want her child to grow up and doesn't want her husband to see that the children are growing up and then she could potentially get put out to pasture, they will try to stunt the development of their child and make them appear younger than they are, even though they're 8 years old. And so Robyn's not wanting to give a bedtime to Ariella, not having structure for Ariella, making Ariella act very baby-like, letting Ariella run around with a pacifier allows Kody to see her as a baby and not an 8-year-old child. So it's another manipulation tactic by Robyn. I asked the source, I said, is this something that a lot of the wives do? And they said, sometimes, but Robyn takes things to extremes. Like, games that Robyn plays are like times 10. Robyn is the master manipulator, master game player, master crafter, master, I'm going to make Ariella be a baby as long as I need to so Kody doesn't realize she's grown up. She's also going to be the master, I'm going to keep the kids in the house as long as possible so Kody thinks that we still need him. So the other thing was that Kody does not want to lose these kids because he's already lost the other kids, right? So there's this whole other thing about this group. So one thing about the group is they're like super desperate right now to not let anyone leave. They don't want people to like leave to the world. And the entire group, including what Kody and Robyn are doing, is becoming more and more locked down. This means the group is starting to limit the amount of social media that they use, their exposure to online content, their exposure to reading, writing, their interactions with the real world. They have rules about what kind of music they can listen to now. The women can't even dye their hair anymore. They can get kicked out of going to a dance if they dye their hair today. So right now, the cult is controlling their sex lives, what they can do with their hair, what they wear, what kind of music they listen to, what kind of social media that they can be on, all in an effort to try to keep people away from information that might expose the truth to them and get them out of the cult. So Kody doesn't want the kids to leave because he values totalitarianism and his authority over everything else. And if they learn that they have options and equity, they will leave the group. Now, Robyn came into this group from Pinesdale with a heavy paranoia in her mind. Pinesdale is a culture where it's very locked down, it's very isolated, and up until recently, they didn't have a lot of interlopers or people from the outside that lived there. And so they didn't have exposure, so they could really keep everything very insulated. And in that world, everything like you and me are scary to them. Robyn grew up with the mindset that every one of us is bad, and we're all worldly, and we're gonna all take you away from the gospel. So when Robyn joined the family, she made a change, and she decided that she was not going to let her kids follow their own path, and she was going to make sure that they didn't find the wicked ways of the world. So another reason why Robyn had to protect her kids from Preston was because Preston was not in the cult. And so really, when you guys watched the adoption, what you actually watched was a cult using cult tactics to manipulate, to maneuver, to gaslight and deflect, and to use money, resources, power, and intimidation to make sure that kids can't leave a cult and can't go out to the real world. Now, if you knew that the reason why they wanted those kids adopted was so that they didn't leave the cult, would you have found it as endearing? Put a prairie dress on those girls. I'm just saying. Put a prairie dress on those girls, and you've got FLDS little girls in prairie dresses, and the big bad cult is trying to keep them in the cult. Would you still be cheering on that adoption? Preston was willing to offer the kids freedom of thought, freedom of mind, the independence of knowing what it's like to have critical thinking skills, the opportunity to be in the real world and have friends and family that would expose them to other ways of thinking and other ways of life. Preston might not have been able to offer them money or fame, but Preston could have offered them normalcy. He could have offered them love. He could have offered them family. He could have offered them freedom. But they didn't want their kids free from the cult control. Again, if you would have known that that's what they were doing, would you have cheered on that adoption? Because if those girls were in a prairie dress, I know you would have said no. When I learned that that's actually what they were doing, as told to me by the source, because they were trying to get Preston out of the picture because he wasn't in the cult, it's disgusting. Preston doesn't believe in this crap. Preston, to this day, is brokenhearted with the tactics that they use to take away his kids. Preston hopes, with all hope, according to my source, that they will one day see at least some of these videos or read some of these articles that show the truth about what is going on. Because he doesn't want them trapped in that cult life. He also did not want them associated with polygamy because polygamy is a negative stigma that causes damage to people's lives. It causes relationships to break up. issues with jobs, losing job opportunities, losing friendships, losing school options, losing so many different kinds of relationships. And he did not want his kids to be the picture of public polygamy because they were children and they didn't have a choice to consent nor understand what that would mean for them as an adult. These kids they were brought into a discussion they never consented to be a part of, and today are now public figures as a face of polygamy. And that's what Preston did not want. And that is what the real fight was about. So what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.